Hello everyone, and thanks for being here for our continued training on pesticides. You all should have access to our updated version of the District Control Product Use and Selection Table. We will not be able to place the entire table of 44 total products on one slide, so we will break it up into sections for you according to larvicides, which there are 26 of, 3 pupicides, 10 adulticides, and 4 red imported fire ant products, as well as 1 bee product. We would like you all to have a working knowledge of what product you would select to use in a particular habitat to control mosquito larvae and pupae, mosquito adults, or red imported fire ants. I will be going over the 26 different formulations of larvicides we currently have available at the district. Chris will then take over with the remaining pupicides, adulticides, and red imported fire ant products. The first group we'll go over are the insect growth regulators, or IGRs. Methoprene is a growth regulator which prevents the larvae of mosquitoes and other insects from becoming adults by imitating insects' natural juvenile hormone by not allowing the genetic signal for complete metamorphosis. We have 6 formulations of Alticid products that have S-methoprene as the active ingredient. Alticid briquettes, Alticid extended release briquettes, or XRs, that come in 2 forms, a cork shape and a slim bar shape for tight, hard to reach areas. There is Alticid liquid, Alticid pellets, Alticid pellets in a water-soluble pouch, or WSP, and Alticid P35. As well as 1 product of Metalarv spherical pellets, or SPT. We also have a Nygaard product, which is a newer IGR with an active ingredient of pyriproxyfen. These 2 IGRs are similar, but pyriproxyfen is effective at low concentrations and is more resistant to sunlight than S-methoprene. As you can see, the majority of our IGRs are good for up to 30 days or more residual control. And consistent with all IGRs, it is okay to see all instars and pupae. I'm going to show some typical sites where IGRs may be applied effectively, such as storm drains, catch basins, fish ponds, ornamental ponds and fountains, and other artificial water holding containers, animal watering troughs, abandoned swimming pools, and tires. Of course, this is not a complete list, but some that we typically encounter in our valley. Water, for example, in most of these curbside catch basins are usually here year-round, so a long-term Alticid XR briquette would work here. Now here is an interesting site, most likely built for stormwater runoff, but now serves as a consistent stagnant accumulation of irrigation trickle flow. Water in the concrete pipe obviously is shaded, as well as the surrounding area from large palm trees. Alticid P35 granules can provide 35 days of residual control in this continuously wet, shallow condition with its extended release technology. Our valley has many ornamental ponds, fountains, or water features. Because of the shallowness of these features, using some 30-day Alticid WSPs or Alticid briquettes would help with control. Our next group of larvicides are the Natural products containing the active ingredient of spinosad. Spinosad is a natural substance made by a soil bacterium that can be toxic to insects. It is a mixture of two chemicals called spinosyn A and spinosyn D. Spinosyn affects the nervous system of insects that eat or touch it. It causes their muscles to flex uncontrollably. This leads to paralysis and ultimately their death, typically within 1 to 2 days, depending on the concentration of the formulation. Currently, we have 5 varieties of Natural products. A liquid version called Natural Emulsified Concentration, or 2EC, Natural G, or granular, Natural G30, a 30-day granular, we also have Natural T30, a 30-day tablet, as well as Natural XRT, or extended release tablet. Our 5 formulations are listed in the Organic Materials Review Institute, or OMRI, for safe use in and around organic farms and gardens. Next, we have some typical sites that can be treated with Natural. Here we have irrigation runoff from a stormwater drain into the stormwater channel, creating a pool of stagnant water with thick emergent vegetation protruding. I think some Natural G30 will work here. How about an almost full abandoned swimming pool? Might be here for quite a while. Other than mosquito fish, what will work here? How about Natural XRTs? End of the season duck club pond with slow percolation through the soil. Natural R2EC will control this area. Okay, let's move on to other microbials. We also have the 3 Vectobac products that utilizes Bacillus thuringiensis subspecies israeliensis, or BTI, as their active ingredient. We have Vectobac aqueous suspension, or 12AS. There is Vectobac granular, or G, and Vectobac water dispersible granules, or WDG. Plus one product called Aquabac 200G, also with BTI. BTI is a biological or a naturally occurring bacterium found in soils. It contains spores that produce toxins that specifically target and only affect the larvae of the mosquito. BTI must be ingested as it is a stomach poison, rupturing the gut. These 4 products kill larvae within 24 hours. It's important to note, BTI is not recommended in colder water as larvae reduce their feeding habits. Here are a couple of open habitats with little or no vegetation, a fenced-in pasture, and a poorly constructed water feature, good sites for Vectobac 12AS. A good place to apply Vectobac WDG are water detention basins with significant emergent vegetation growth. Other microbials that we carry at the district are Bacillus sphaericus products, or BS. We have Vectolex water dispersible granules, or WDG, and a Vectolex water soluble pouches, or WSPs. We also have another brand called Spheritax 50G WSP. The pesticide's active ingredient is a naturally occurring bacterium that is found in soil and is much like BTI. It kills mosquito larvae when the larvae ingest the bacterial spores. Bacillus sphaericus can be used in a couple of these sites. An animal watering trough can be controlled with a pouch of Spheritax. and a plugged up patio drain with a pouch of Vectolex. Old tires create an excellent breeding source for mosquitoes, especially after a rain event. They can be tricky to treat, but mixing some Vectolex granules in water and applied with a backpack sprayer, this method can cover a lot of tires with the product reducing a large number of individual sites in a small area. Finally, we have products that contain two different active ingredients within the same formulation, such as BTI and Bacillus sphaericus. Vectomax in yellow is a fusion of BTI and BS into a single microparticle. BTI provides the broad spectrum activity against mosquitoes with rapid control within 24 hours, while Bacillus sphaericus exhibits extended residual control for up to 48 hours or more. We carry the fine granules and the same granules in a water-soluble pouch. We also have BTI and S-methoprene in green, and these are Vectoprime FG and Duplex G. These two products are also a result of fused microparticles, providing the quick kill ability of BTI with the long residual control of the IGR methoprene, preventing late-stage adult fly-offs. The district has also created approved mixtures of pesticide products that can be combined together. We have Vectomix, which is a granular combination of Vectolex FG and Vectobax G, a BTI and Bacillus sphaericus mix, plus Duplex, a combination of Alticid liquid and Vectobac 12AS, which is a BTI and S-methoprene liquid mixture. This concludes what we carry for larvicide products, the selection process that must be considered, and where we can efficiently rotate the use of them in our IPM program to reduce mosquito resistance. I will now let Chris finish up with our remaining products.
All right, thank you, Gerald. So as you guys will see, the selection process for these last few categories of products is a lot more straightforward than it was for larvicides. And that's mainly because we simply have fewer products within each category to choose from. So as you guys can see right here, starting with pupicides, according to the table here in our handout, there are three. However, cocoa bear larvicide oil, we really never use that anymore at all. So it's really just Agnique and Control. And Agnique was something that we used primarily for many years. However, it's recently been discontinued. So we only have a little bit of it left, and we pretty much only use it for special circumstances. It does have a little bit longer residual than Control. And so for places like, maybe a swimming pool where we think it could work really well, we may still use it. However, you're mainly going to be looking at this master line Control as our primary pupicide now. And it's a really good product. As you can see that you can go up to a higher rate with it, the 3 gallon per acre, as opposed to 1 gallon per acre with Agnique. And it does pretty well in catch basins, places where you might see, denser vegetation or polluted water and that sort of thing. So as far as, using pupicides, why we would choose to use a pupicide instead of a larvicide, things like that. Obviously, the main component, the main reason is that larvicides are ineffective against pupae. So if you come up to a site and pupae are present, in order to prevent that fly-off from occurring, your only option is to go with the pupicide. Their mode of action, basically they create a film, a lining on the water surface, which prevents the pupae from being able to attach to that water surface and breathe. So that results in exhaustion or suffocation. And the nice thing about pupicides is that they're effective against pupae and larvae. So again, if you come across a site and you're seeing pupae in the water, even if there are a lot of larvae, you can typically get away with just treating with the pupicide. I mean, that's pretty much going to provide control against everything. And the other nice thing about them is that there's no risk of resistance due to their physical mode of action. So because there's no chemical interaction going on, there's no way for the mosquito larvae to, develop any sort of resistance, have those resistant genes or anything like that, like I talk about in our product rotation video. So that's a really nice aspect to using the pupicides. For adulticides, we've got about 10 products in our arsenal. So for starters, we have Anvil 1010. We've got Aqua Reslin, which for those of you who have done a lot of work in 80s, you should be pretty familiar with that product. We have BVA oil listed on here, but that's not really a product per se. It's more of a dilutant. So it's something that we mix with other adulticides when we're getting ready to do an application. We've got Demand CS, which is our go-to when it comes to doing barrier treatments. And we have Delta Guard. And then continuing with more adulticides, we also have Duet. We've got Evergreen. We have Maris 3.0, which is a newer product. We have Scourge. And we also have Zenivex. So when it comes to use and selection of adulticides, as you guys know, adulticides, the way they're used is either they're sprayed into the air as a fine mist, also known as ULV or ultra low volume, or they're sprayed directly onto surfaces where we think that adult mosquitoes will land, also known as a barrier application. And these can be done either with a handheld or a backpack unit, like we see in the top picture on the right, or they are frequently done using a truck. That's how we do a lot of our truck ULV missions. And they can even be done using aircraft, so a plane or helicopter. As far as their active ingredient, most of them are pyrethrins or pyrethroids, which are derived from chrysanthemum flowers in the case of pyrethrins, and then pyrethroids are a synthetic version of that. And they act as nerve toxins, so they attack the adult mosquito nervous system and result in paralysis and death. And as far as how we go about our selection, it's mainly dictated based on a lot of the work that the lab does to monitor resistance in the wild populations. So the lab, a couple times a year, will do collections of wild mosquitoes and then do bottle assays with the different adulticides that we have and try to see if the wild populations in different areas have resistance, or if they're less susceptible to some of our adulticide products in comparison to our colony mosquitoes. And so we'll take the data that they derive from those assays and kind of help guide us on our product selection in different areas. And the one caveat to adulticides, according to the labels, typically we would rotate after one application. However, when there's virus present, we are able to use the same product multiple times in a row. And that's why you see us typically will do a ULV campaign for about 3 nights or mornings in a row using the same product. For imported fire ant products, we've got 4 listed here. Although you can pretty much ignore distance. It's something we used in the past, but we really don't use at all anymore. So we're essentially down to only 3 products. Advion and Siesta are very similar. As you can see, the recommended rate is pretty much the same, and their mode of action, they're both blocking the nerve sodium channel. So again, kind of acting like a nerve toxin. And currently we're still using Advion just for service requests, and I think we're just trying to use it up, and then at that point we'll switch over to using Siesta for our SRs. And then we've got Extinguish Plus, which is pretty much what we're using everywhere else, so HOAs and golf courses. And that has that dual mode of action. It's got two active ingredients. And so it works as both a metabolic inhibitor, affecting the mitochondrial membrane. And then it also has methoprene, which, as we know, is an IGR. So get a little more long-term action out of that. And then, as you guys know, all of our red imported fire ant products are granular bait formulations. So they work by having the workers pick them up while they're out foraging and then bringing them back to the colony, where the pesticide is then dispersed, with the ultimate goal of killing the queen, which then results in colony collapse. And so, as I mentioned, as far as selection, it's very straightforward with these. Right now, we're just using Adbion for service requests and Extinguish Plus for all of our large properties. So finally, we've got one B product. It's Delta Dust, and that's delta methrin is the active ingredient. It's also a nerve toxin like many of our other products. Not too much else to say about this product. We don't do a whole lot of bee work, but if you ever do get a bee service request and you have to actually go ahead and do a treatment, this would likely be the product that you use. So finally, just to wrap things up, you guys can see that we've got a lot of tools in our arsenal, a whole lot of products at our disposal. So I think it's really important that we spend some time every year just kind of going over all this stuff, thinking about these things, reviewing our products, because it really is important. Understanding your control products is going to allow you to have better and more effective treatments out in the field. And you guys remember that if there's ever a time that you're out there and you're just stumped, you can always give your supervisor a call, and we'd be happy to walk through things with you guys. And also remember, no matter what product you're using, you got to be familiar with the label. The label is the law. All right, so that pretty much wraps things up for us, guys. Thanks for listening. Hopefully you took something away from it, and have a great rest of your day.